Title asterisk I stopped being lazy hook, midnight to 0:30, I'll never forget the day I hit rock bottom. I was lying on my couch, surrounded by pizza boxes and video game controllers. It was March 15, 2020, and I had just received an eviction notice. I had $137 in my bank account and no job. But something inside me clicked. I realized I had a choice to make. And that's when everything changed. But before I tell you what happened next, let me ask you, are you tired of feeling stuck and lazy? Section 1, The Struggle, 0:30 to 3 o'clock, you know the feeling. You wake up every morning with good intentions, but by the end of the day, you've accomplished nothing. You feel like you're stuck in a rut, and no matter how hard you try, you just can't seem to get out of it. You're not alone. I've been there too. I used to spend hours scrolling through social media, comparing my life to others, and feeling like a failure. But then I realized I was the only one holding myself back. But what was it about my mindset that needed to change? Let's take a pause for a second. Pause, and think about this. What if the reason you're feeling lazy has nothing to do with your motivation, but rather with your understanding of motivation itself? Pattern interrupt. Let's do a quick exercise. Take a deep breath in, and out, and ask yourself, what's one thing you've been putting off that you know you need to do? Write it down, and we'll come back to it later. Section 1, continued, so, I started to examine my daily habits. I tracked my time, and I was shocked to see how much time I was wasting on unnecessary things. I was spending over 3 hours a day watching TV, and over 2 hours a day playing video games. That's 5 hours a day that I could be using to improve my life. But I didn't know where to start. I felt overwhelmed, and that's when I realized I needed a wake-up call. And that's exactly what I got. But what was it that finally made me stop being lazy? You'll have to wait just a minute to find out. Section 2, The Turning Point, 3 to 6 o'clock, it was April 1st, 2020, and I had just stumbled upon a book that would change my life forever. The book was called Atomic Habits by James Clear. As I read through the chapters, I realized that my laziness was not due to a lack of motivation, but rather due to a lack of understanding of how habits work. I learned that our brains are wired to resist change, and that's why it's so hard to build new habits. But I also learned that there are specific strategies that can help us overcome this resistance. For example, did you know that it takes an average of 66 days to build a new habit? But what's even more interesting is that pause, there's a specific technique that can help you build habits in just 30 days. Want to know what it is? Pattern interrupt. Let's take a quick break and move our bodies. Stand up, stretch, and jump up and down a few times. This will help increase your energy and focus. Now, let's get back to the story. Section 2, continued, so, I started to apply the strategies I learned from the book. I started small, by building tiny habits that I could stick to. I began with a 5-minute workout every morning, and gradually increased the duration over time. I also started to track my progress, which helped me stay motivated. And then, something amazing happened. I started to see results. I lost weight, I had more energy, and I felt more confident. But I didn't stop there. I wanted to know more about the science behind habits, and that's when I stumbled upon pause, a surprising discovery that would take my productivity to the next level. But you'll have to wait just a bit longer to find out what it is. Section 3, The Method, 6 to 9 o'clock, so, here's what I learned. The key to building habits is to focus on the process, not the outcome. Instead of setting big goals, I started to set small, achievable habits that I could stick to. For example, my first habit was to write down 3 things I was grateful for every morning. This habit took just 2 minutes to do, but it had a profound impact on my mindset. Then, I started to build on that habit by adding more habits to my routine. Here are the exact steps I took. 1. I started by identifying my why. What was my purpose, and what did I want to achieve? 2. I broke down my big goals into smaller, manageable habits. 3. I created an environment that supported my habits. For example, I removed all distractions from my work spa.